Well, hello, and welcome to Ask a Creationist. This is a new feature from Core Academy of Science. I'm Todd Wood. I'm the president of Core Academy, and I'm a young age creationist. And I'm going to do my best to answer your questions. First question that we have here: what is a virus? Most of the United States and most of the world is on some sort of lockdown, limited movement, or social distancing as we are dealing with the present crisis of the emergent COVID-19 virus, which is causing havoc in hospitals around the world. And there is a lot of response from a lot of governments trying to limit movement, trying to limit the spread of that. So this is a good, timely topic. What is a virus? Now, the odd part about this, of course, is that I'm going to start with telling you what is not a virus. So let's look at the parts of a typical cell. This is for you science nerds. This will be a eukaryotic cell. These are the things that make up every organism that you see, plants, animals, fungus, that sort of thing. They all have basic parts, not all exactly the same, but they're all similar. They might have a nucleus, they might have mitochondria, and something called an endoplasmic reticulum, and many other parts that I'm not going to go through, Golgi apparatus and lysosomes and so forth. And these parts all do different things in the cells, and they, in the eukaryotes, they are compartmentalized from other parts by lipid bilayer membranes. Ooh, big word. Yeah, membranes basically is the thing. It's little skin basically for your cells. Bacteria and archaea, the prokaryotes, they're typically very much smaller than your eukaryotes, and they don't have any little membrane-bound compartments inside of them, but they still have little clever ways of compartmentalizing their cell and of carrying out normal cellular functions, generating energy, moving their information around, making proteins, and so forth. Viruses are different in that, first of all, they're composed mostly of two parts. There's the genes, the genetic part, and then there is a protein coat of some kind. And some viruses also have around that a membrane, kind of like a cell. But that's it. They don't have any little compartments to do things. Honestly, they just sort of sit there and do nothing and wait for something to come along. So if you can imagine like that eukaryotic cell, you strip out all the stuff except for the nucleus, and even then you strip out most of the stuff in the nucleus, you would have sort of a virus. And they're very, very tiny. They're tiny even compared to bacteria. Now, how viruses work, they basically lurk around in the environment waiting for cells to come along. So here is your cell, and there is a virus. The virus comes along and attaches it to the outside of the cell. Many viruses are specific for specific types of cells. HIV, for example, is very specific for cells in your immune system, which is why HIV is such a devastating disease if left untreated. And once on the outside of the cell, the virus will trick the cell into bringing it inside. And that's when havoc begins, because viruses essentially hijack your cell. So the viral genome has one bit of instruction that it tells the cells to do, and it basically takes over. And that instruction is very simple. Make copies, right? So it begins to make copies. Your cells become completely hijacked, and they start generating many copies of this virus. And they spit them out into the environment. Some cells generate so many copies that they explode because all of the cellular stuff has been converted into viruses. Other viruses bud and pop off of your membranes, but they still manage to kill the cells that they are hosted by. So that's all they do, really. They just get inside your cell and make copies of themselves. Now, big question among scientists, are viruses alive? I suppose if you're a virologist and you're really interested in viruses, you're sort of sympathetic to the notion that yes, they are alive. I tend to be sympathetic to the opposite. When you read through your basic biology textbook, nobody defines life. They just give basically 7 characteristics of what living things display. Here they are. You can read them. Feel free. For viruses, though, there's really only one that they do. And even that one that they do, it's not one that they do by themselves, right? So a virus in the environment all by itself is completely harmless. It's only when it hijacks another cell that it goes to work making copies of itself. Or at least it tricks the cell into making copies of it. Now, there are lots of viruses. This is the other thing about viruses that I find really interesting. They're insanely diverse. All of the living world, the cellular organisms, we all use, for example, double-stranded DNA for our genetic material. But in viruses, you can have RNA, you can have single-stranded RNA, you can have positive sense RNA, you can have negative sense RNA. There's just no real, as far as I can see, there's no real necessity to have just double-stranded DNA genomes. They're insanely diverse. And you can see here, most of them are associated with diseases that we know about, which kind of brings up the question, what good are they? If these are parts of God's good creation, then what in the world do they do? Well, you might be surprised. Creationists have had actually a lot of thoughts about that, but that's a subject for another video. So if you've enjoyed this video, check us out on the web, coresci.org. From there you can link to our social media pages as well, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And thanks for watching, and please click subscribe.